So tell me who you are. We're on camera now.
This is Curtis and Curtis here. We both have the same name.
All right, Curtis. What's up? Curtis and Curtis.
We both spent a lot of time at the transportation terminal, and we both knew Kelly, and we're here that night when the terrible incident went down with the police. But anyway, Kelly was just down the tracks with the other homeless people getting food that night when he came out here and sat down right here on this ledge, and he was just chilling at the bus.
Walk us through it.
Put your sweater on.
He was just
Put your sweater on.
He had his backpack on, just chilling, when Ramos rolled up on him. The cop car pulls right in here, rolls up on him, and that's when they started to question him. And okay, Curtis, what happened when they started to question him?
Okay, now I got here for the last part when the blood was laying over here, but I'm gonna take you through what was on the video, and Kurt's gonna kind of narrate it with me.
All right.
Kelly, as Ramos got out of his car, it was Ramos got out of his car and started talking to Kelly. They were standing about right here. Kelly was leaning here. If you look at the video, you'll see Kelly leaning. This is the sign that Kelly was leaning on and talking. He had his backpack on his back also. Yeah. So when I looked at the video, I began to see him, continue talking. And as he began to talk, the police officer was right there, and he just was talking to him, but he took out his baton and he began to talk to him even more while he was waving his baton.
Which cop was this?
That cop
was it Wolf?
I just want to be sure. It was more than likely
Ramos is the one with the club, yeah.
Because Wolf is the one who struck him with his baton first, the one who just recently indicted.
This car, he was looking through the backpack. When Ramos was here and began to put his hand on Kelly, Kelly jumped back. And then because after Ramos had said, "These are the fists that are about to F you up," when he put his hand on Kelly, Kelly jumped up and he started to run around the front of the car. And that's when Wolf came around the back of the car, and they met him halfway and tackled him right there on the pavement. A little question mark there, but actually it happened right over here, more by that orange cone.
And here's where we have the memorial in right now.
And they began to work him over right
here. Yeah,
this
from the video is where it happened right here.
The car was parked somewhere about right here.
Now if you look right back there, you're going to see a camera up on the pole.
Right, we're going to see the camera is way up here. You can't even see it from here. It's a little further up.
Now the most interesting thing about that camera is it cut off one of the critical pieces of evidence, what was happening to his face and his head. If you get right where his head is, you'll see there's one branch sticking out that blocks the view.
Right.
So
come around this way. Come around this way.
That branch is still there, but anyway, most of it was caught on video. So I felt like I did my part. I was there standing next to that trash can at that night, and after this happened, I was very vocal about it, just to make sure this thing got to the DA.
So you watched the whole thing?
I came out here after it started. I heard the siren and came out here. I didn't know it was Kelly. At that time, I knew him as Kevin, because all the cops were on top of him. The taxi told me it was Caveman. That's what we called him, because he's schizophrenic, and he kind of reminded us of the caveman on the Geico commercial. Mm-hmm. He's the guy that felt like he deserved a little self-respect, and he respected all the people out here. The only problems he had were with the police, because they had been out here many times for him, like trying to get him to move on, not to sleep over the loading dock. That's where he slept at night. Yeah. And the taxis could hear the police at different times telling him, "Hey, you can't be sleeping over there. You gotta get moving." So anyway, this is where it went down, and I didn't see him till the very end. When those cops, when he stopped moving, one cop reached down, they moved back, they lifted him up by his hair, and that's when you could see a pool of blood, and you could just.
Now, how many witnesses were standing around?
Well, it only started out with like 5 or 6, but then there began to get more people coming around, because this thing lasted for a long time. And they claim there's over 100 witnesses, but a lot of those people were on the buses that were coming through here.
Do you know how many cameras were confiscated, or how many people got on camera?
Yes, there was 3 cameras confiscated. The police never made eye contact with any of us until an old man came behind the police and whispered something in his ear. And I think that's the point when they realized that there was cameras. That's when they walked right over next to me and the real estate guy next to me, and he said, "Come here," and brought him over to the back of his car, and they took his camera away. At that point, I got out of here, because I knew even the witnesses were under the jurisdiction of the police, and I wanted to make sure my statement was given to anybody.
What is your name again?
Well, most of the street people out here know me as Scooter Man.
Scooter Man, like, I want you to take me through the whole confiscation of the cameras. Again, let's start from the beginning of as far as the confiscation of cameras.
Okay. Right over here, we're by the trash can. There's a real estate guy
But
there.
stay here because
Okay.
we have good light. So let's start all over. Go.
There was a short real estate man.
You know what you can do is like, we're here where Kelly Thomas was just killed and talk about the cameras.
Okay. There was one man filming next to the trash can over there where I was standing. He was a short real estate guy. When the police looked up, they knew there was cameras out there because an old man had come behind him and mentioned about the cameras. He pointed at that guy and says, "Come here." And he brought that guy all the way around to the back of his car.
Do you remember which cop this was?
This was, I don't remember which cop it was, but it was, and by that time there's a lot of cops here. It was like every cop in the department was down here. One would show up, another would show up, another would show up.
Right.
It was
So how many cameras did they confiscate altogether?
They confiscated a total of 3 that I know of. The one the real estate guy has is a whole video we haven't seen, and that's going to show up in court.
Right, who's the real estate guy?
The real estate guy has never been seen again since, but the DA knows who he is.
Yeah, you know his name?
He happened to be maybe coming from a bar that night. The other girl is well known, comes out here and helps with the homeless. She's known as Bunny, and she took pictures, and they took her camera and they took her film out. But what they didn't take was a roll of film. She takes the old style of pictures. She had a roll of film still in her pocket, and that picture came out later on, and she still has that. And it's a picture of the moon actually shining down and reflecting off a pool of blood. She has not given this picture up to anybody yet, but it's I think it's a critical piece of evidence.
Now I understand the fact that they ripped her film, the film out of her camera was caught on video as well. Is that true?
I don't believe that Bunny was caught on camera that night, but she was coming this direction straight from the slide bar.
Yeah. And the slide bar, they're the ones that called the cops in the first place, right?
Her pictures of service, but they were just still pictures.
Yes.
She's loves photography and likes to take pictures. The third video was taken at the bus stop off of a cell phone from one of the people that ride the buses. And
that was confiscated?
That's one of the videos that made the whole thing blow up because.
But that has not been seen. Oh, that was the one.
That was the first.
That was the initial one.
That came out even before.
Yes, I remember that one.
The video on the pole came out.
Yes, that was the one where you couldn't really see, but you could hear.
Yeah, and you could
story
see.
Is corroborated by the interview you did today.
Yes.
That it was a old-fashioned film camera.
The film was ripped out.
Which is so unusual to see today, right?
Yes, she's.
Do you know which cop that was that ripped the film out of her camera?
No, I don't. There were so many cops here that night, but she said it was a woman cop.
A woman cop?
Yes. So I don't know who that may be, but I recognized a few cops here that night.
Okay, because right now we have 6 cops who are basically been named. 3 of them have been indicted. The other 3 are still in the force, are still working. Maybe they'll get fired.
These 3, Wolf has just been indicted.
Right.
Ramos and Cicinelli, they're all up for involuntary manslaughter.
But we have a woman cop now who destroyed evidence.
That is what I hear.
You didn't see that?
No, I did not see that.
But that's the word around town. That's the word like on the streets.
About the time those pictures were taken was about the time I was hightailing it down the tracks.
And Bunny, and she's a local photographer?
She is a local advocate for homeless. She volunteers at the homeless shelter, and she happened to be at the slide bar that night when this was going down. And she walked over here diagonally straight from the slide bar, and that's when she began to snap.
And the slide bar, they're the ones that call the cops, I guess, right? From what I understand.
Slide bar, it's pretty common knowledge that the girl, I'm not going to say her name, was a manager of the slide bar.
They accused him of breaking into cars.
That called the cops, and that.
Was Kelly Thomas the type of guy who would break into cars?
Everyone at the slide bar knew Kelly because he liked to hang out in front of the slide bar.
Was he the type of guy to break into cars?
No. We never saw him doing anything mischievous. Those of us, the homeless out here, the people that are here, never saw him never panhandling. In fact, if you ever offered him food, he wouldn't even take it. But if you set it down on the bench, he would come back and get it. And he was a little bit different because he was schizophrenic. A lot of times you'd see him just like staring up in the sky for like 20 minutes at a time, and then if you like walked on his blind side, his eyes would just like turn down at you, but it wasn't a threatening look. It really surprised me when I heard about when I heard later about his dialogue with the police. I feel like if he had any built-up hostility, it had to do with the fact that the police continually hassled him.
What do you think should be done to these cops?
I make no kind of judgment whatsoever about the cops. I felt like my job was to get this out there in the public, and I want a jury.
Do you believe?
I want our community.
Do you believe he was murdered?
What?
Do you believe Kelly Thomas was murdered?
There was a part of the evidence that I saw that I can't comment on.
Why?
But
Why can't you comment on that? Why can't we just speak the truth?
Because I'm actually a witness that may be subpoenaed for the court case.
Okay.
But I place no judgment. But that doesn't mean
why not place judgment if the evidence is there? We saw what happened on video.
I want to wait for the court to place judgment and a jury.
Do you believe
of the community.
Do you believe cops might get off on a lighter sentence?
I believe the way our system's set up, it really is hard to prosecute a cop because those cops have the whole police union behind them. And that police union has a lot of money. That could buy the best attorneys. So it's a tough fight, but you know, we have another element that's really unusual, and that's the community effort here has been overwhelming. So between the community putting the pressure on the DA and those top-notch attorneys, I think it's going to be a good battle. And when that evidence comes out, we're going to let the jury decide. Now, a jury of 10, a grand jury of 10 just indicted Wolf on involuntary
we got that. And that's why, like, you look over here. How long has this been up? You have the Kelly Thompson sign, the names of the cops.
About 4 hours.
That sign's been up 4 hours?
4 hours. Kelly Thomas' stepmother made that today. I was looking right at her when she made it.
Because, you know, before we had Ramos and Cicinelli, and now we have Wolf.
Yes.
And there's a good chance these other cops won't get indicted, but we're hoping they get fired.
Well, today we was at the Fullerton police station protesting from 9 to about 1, and so we were still trying to get the other 3 indicted. So we haven't given up in any form, and we haven't let up. You know, we still got the pressure on. We will put just as much pressure on getting the other 3 as we did the first 3.
All right. Thank you for your time.
You're very welcome.